How do you draw like me? Meaning, how do you learn drawing for comics and animation? If you want to tell stories in your own style from your own imagination and you want to do that through these mediums of animation, comics, and illustration, how do you learn drawing for that? How do you go from zero to hero, where you don't know nothing about drawing, to a point where you're making comics and stuff? What is the exact roadmap? What is the step by step process? What are the phases in which you need to go through? What are the actionable exercises and practices you need to do in each of these phases? And what resources do you need? Man, that is going to be today's podcast. So stick with it. It's a valuable freaking one. And in the end, I'll give you a solid way to do this for free, 100%, no money, no honey. I mean, what did I what the heck did I say? But basically, I'm giving away a super simple free roadmap and things you can do through this podcast. All right, so here's the thing that I'm trying to do today, which is I'm trying to establish an artist roadmap. By the way, I've already done a full-fledged artist roadmap workshop, which is available for free. You just go to my website, keshart.in, and I don't know where the link is. Maybe just Google Keshart Artist Roadmap. You'll get a much more detailed idea on this thing. What I'm trying to do is establish more on the subject. What is a roadmap of going from zero to hero? Zero, where you don't know nothing about drawing, to where you are sort of creating comics and characters, and you're able to create animations, or at least create art necessary for animation. That is what we're going to approach today. So before we start, I have a couple of things. One, just want to give you guys a quick update on last week's 75 hard thing, which is I'm doing a challenge called 75 hard. It started last week and I'm on week 1. It's going well, my friend. It's going well. 1 week is pretty good. I think I've finally cracked the code after 13 times of trying to do this challenge. If you guys want to know what this challenge is all about, go and check out last week's video and why I'm doing it. That is 1. 2, we've got a Black Friday sale going on for the next 6 days on my flagship art program, Drawing Camp. So if you guys want to know everything I know about art and drawing, maybe not everything, if you want a fantastic fundamental foundational program that teaches you the core fundamental things that we're going to discuss in this particular podcast, by the way, with actionable exercises through 100 structured follow along lessons where you just spend 20 minutes a day or so to practice and learn, and literally that is it. And want a proven thing, which is like other people have done it and I've actually seen results in the past 2-3 years, go check out Drawing Camp. Links down in the description. With that said, let's get into this thing, right? I want to sort of do a more personal take on this thing. The Artist Roadmap Workshop is like, okay, it's meant for everyone. What I want to do right here is, talk a bit more from a personal standpoint and how I got where I am today and what did I do to get here, meaning the kind of artworks that I'm creating. And I did not go to any art school. I did not have any teachers or mentors. I don't remember taking any courses. I think one thing that I really liked, I remember taking 2 courses at the very start. One was this thing called Dynamic Sketching by Peter Han, which is like the foundation of fundamentals of drawing, which really helped me. And then another thing by Jake Parker, or some lessons by Jake Parker. Those things were also helpful. A workshop by Jake Parker, actually, not a course. So like literally like that. That's the courses that I've taken. Maybe, yeah, I've seen some YouTube tutorials. Not some, a lot actually. A lot of YouTube tutorials. But it took me a lot of time to sort of figure out a framework and put things together in a way that is more efficient and easier. You can obviously spend time, go search online, build your own curriculum and structure and do those things. The question here is like time. Like, do you want to do things in 5 years, or do you want to do things in a year or 2 years? Do you want to save 2, 3, 4 years? Which is like, that is a question right there. And how do you want to sort of approach things? Because here's another thing which I did not like about my thing. Wherever I went, right, to learn about this, there was no actionable exercises. There was no one sitting me down and making me do the thing. That was the biggest problem. And that's why you need not only the lessons you need to know, you need to learn in order to do this thing, but also the exercises that goes along with it, right? You need a lot of exercises, but the exercises will save it for you. Go check out the artist roadmap workshop. It's like almost 2-3 hours long, 2 hours long, I think. No, I think it's 2 hours long, right? You go check that out. It's much more in depth. But right here, let's start with this thing. I did not go to art school, didn't have any teachers. How did I get here where I'm here? Now, first up, chapter 1. We need a goal, an objective, which is why do you want to do this thing? Why do you want to learn drawing, right? And I'm assuming for most people who are watching this thing right here is that you have an objective of wanting to make your own comics and animation. You have certain stories in your head and you want to sort of put them through comics or animation or illustrations. And you actually also want to do this not in a super realistic style. You want to create your own style, draw from your own imagination, create your own characters. But you're not able to do any of these things because you're able to copy stuff. You're able to see things. You're able to sort of look at things and draw. But when you sit down to create your own stuff, it's not coming. When you try to invent your own style, it's not coming. When you try to create characters, it's not coming, right? So it's like you have all these problems. Now, how am I able to sort of tell you all these things? It's probably because I had the same problem. And over this past 5 years or so, after studying thousands of students, literally on Drawing Camp, and interviewing nearly hundreds of students personally one-to-one, and teaching hundreds of students personally one-to-one, right, through my workshops, which I used to do back in the day, pre-COVID times, that I've learned that the problems are very specific, and I have weirdly attracted people who share my same problems. Obviously, if I talk about my own problems, people who share the same problems will come to me, right? So I have an understanding of the problem, right? How do you do this? Now, you might have sort of gone through YouTube tutorials, online courses, and bought some courses, but you've never used them, or you bought this really nice, expensive thing, but you never used it, and you're wondering why it doesn't work for me. Or you bought a course, it sort of is nice, you know it's valuable, right? It's got a lot of stuff, but it's not the right fit for you. Now, why is that, right? Why is that? And here's the biggest thing. Most people don't start with the core fundamentals in place. Meaning, most of you guys think that you are too advanced for certain basic lessons that needs to be put in place internally in your mind before you go on to design characters and cartoons and comics and making comics and illustrations. These things may look too simple, but they're not simple, because all the people I've taught, right? All the people I've taught, they struggle after a point of trying to draw and create characters because their fundamentals is not in place. Things like being able to draw basic shapes and boxes and learning basic perspective. These are all the things that people don't have in place, and that's why they're having trouble with character design and comics and all these things, right? I'm obviously generalizing, but that's the thing. And that was my story as well. I wanted to do this. I was very good at copying stuff. I was looking at these game posters and movie posters and all these cool things. I was doing these super realistic drawings, but I was not able to create anything from my own imagination. If I had to sort of draw something from, originally, I had a lot of trouble doing that, right? And I was wondering, like, man, what the hell am I doing wrong? So I started copying other cartoonists and character designers. I was able to do it. I was able to sort of piece things together, but nothing was original, right? Something was missing. Then I was like, okay, you know what? We need to wipe the slate clean. We need to start fresh. We need to start fresh with the right things in place in the right order. And that is the order that I'm sort of, going to talk about today, right? Wow, lot of what do you say? Establishment right there. Showing what you're doing. Well, here's the thing. here's how I got here, right? The steps I took. First, we establish an objective. What is the objective? What is the goal? These are the goals of Drawing Camp, by the way. And I like these goals. One, you need to learn the fundamentals of drawing. You have to learn and master the fundamentals of drawing. Now, mastering it is a lifelong thing. At least get good at it. For you spend 6 months. Get good at fundamentals of drawing. And that does a lot of things. It helps you see a lot of things. That is goal number 1. Goal number 2, you want to be able to learn to create your own characters and worlds. And that's a very specific goal. What does that mean? To be able to create your own characters, 1. 2, worlds. What I mean by is environments, and being able to sort of put those characters in environments that evokes a story. Right? That is goal number 2. 3 is to be able to draw from your own imagination and in your own style, and in that particular order. That is what you want to do. First, you don't want to focus on style. You want to focus on the ability to draw from your imagination. And then once you develop that ability, then you add the element of style to it. Now, you want to approach these goals in this order. Fundamentals first, character design and world creation next. Third and last is imagination and style. And finally, this is sort of like a bonus goal, which is tell stories with your art through projects. That is the 4th goal right there, which is what I call creativity, right? So in honor of these goals, the way we are going to approach this thing is a 3-level process. We're going to have a foundation phase in our training, in our artistic roadmap, and then we're going to have a design phase, design level, where we're going to focus on character design and environments. And then 3, we're going to focus on imagination and stylization, and also focus on creating stuff in there, which is creation. So that's the 3 level right there. Foundation, design, and creation. This is what I did. I was like, let me first focus on foundation. And then I divided the things that were there in foundation and I attacked that. Then let me focus on character design. I divided the skills that needs to be there in character design and I attacked that one by one. And then I focused on all the mini skills that were there in creation one by one and attacked that, right? So now you might be asking, Kesh, all right, buddy, we've got 3 levels. Great now. What do I learn in that, man? What do I do? Give me an idea. Well, here's what you need to do. A thing that you're trying to attack. It's not like you're going to war. You're just an artist trying to draw, right? The thing that you're trying to attack or tackle, right, is this goal, right? And this large goal has these 4 sub-goals, right? Four segments. You want to create your own comics and characters from your own imagination and your own style, and then tell your stories, right? Tell stories with your art. You have this goal, but you don't go ahead and say, oh man, I'm going to do all of these things at the same time. Well, that's a recipe for failure. First of all, you can't do it. You cannot do it all at the same time, right? It's like saying, I am going to, let me find a good example. I'm going to read a book. And when you're trying to read a book, what do? You go page by page, right? One page, one page, chapter by chapter, right? You go through chapter 1, then 2 and 3 and 4. You just don't do like, oh, I've read one word on page 1 and I'm going to read another word on page 2 and another word on page 3, another word on page 4. That's like multitasking to the stupidest forms of levels which you don't want to do that, right? That's you won't read the book and you won't comprehend the book because you're doing too many things at the same time. What you want to do is this: divide the book into bite-sized segments and attack them one at a time. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these 3 levels and we're going to divide them into bite-sized segments and attack them one at a time. So we're going to take these 3 levels and we're going to look for the sub skills that are there, because drawing is a huge skill. What you want to do is take that big skill and turn it into small sub skills. Like you take a book and divide it into chapters, or it's already divided into chapters and you just read them, right? So what are the chapters that are there in each of these sub skills for you to learn drawing? Well, let me tell you. I've written it down because I often forget this. I'm just kidding. I just want to be more organized for the podcast. Level 1, foundation. Here's what you want to do. You want to learn how to do lines and shapes. You want to be able to control your hand and the movement of your hand, be able to do different strokes and lines really well. If you cannot control the tool that you're drawing with, you cannot draw what you have in your head. People often call this hand-eye coordination, but I basically try to call mastering the tool, which is your hand. Your hand is a tool, unless you're drawing with your foot. No judgment. Feel free. Then master your foot, right? So then once you sort of learn a basic understanding of line, you then learn to sort of see and draw shapes. 2D flat dimensional shapes. See them in your real life and being able to draw them. Meaning, everything is just made up of shapes, right? You've heard this a million times if you have watched any artist or drawing person, right? Break it down into simple shades, yay, right? So, right, that's what they say. What you want to do is understand that lines when put together forms shapes, right? Because the shapes are nothing but just that. They're just lines forming together. Be able to draw different kinds of shapes and see shapes in real world. That is first lesson or first chapter. Second thing that you want to do is focus on gesture or flow. Now, you've drawn those lines, but you have some control over your lines, but it's too rigid, it's too stiff, it's too static. What you want is dynamism in your lines, and that's what you want to focus on next, which is focus on dynamic drawing, being able to draw those lines and shapes dynamically, right? Because this establishes the spirit of your drawing, as I like to call it. It is what differentiates a rigid drawing and a flowy drawing, right? That's what I like to call it. That is 2. Number 3, you want to start focusing on forms and perspectives. Now, drawings are not just 2D shapes. They are, if you look at it, if you perceive them on a 2-dimensional sheet of paper, it looks 3D. Right? You want to be able to draw in 3D. Most of you want to draw in 3D. Unless you're just going to be like designers and illustrators with a very specific 2D flat style, right? Unless you're going to go down that route, you want to be able to draw in 3D and see the world in 3D. And for that, you need to understand the big 5 forms. What are they? Sphere, cylinder, cube, cone, and the pyramid, right? Now, I've sort of brought it down to 3 actually, which is sphere, cylinder, and boxes. That's it. If you learn to draw these things in perspective, and you need to learn perspective of 1 point, 2 point, 3 point perspective, and if you just learn to draw these things in, these basic 3D shapes is what people call it. I call it 3D forms. You are going to be set for the most part, because you will be able to, at this point, you have developed the ability to see things. You are able to control your tool, which is your hand. You're able to see the shapes and forms in the world. You're able to draw dynamically in your drawings. And add on top of that, which is the 4th skill, right? The 4th chapter, which is light and shadow. Have a basic understanding of light and shadow. How does shadow work? How does light work? How can I apply that in my drawing? Voila. Boom. We've got 4 important things in foundation level. Lines and shapes, dynamic drawing, gesture, creating flow in your drawing. That is number 2. 3 is forms and perspective. 4 is light and shadow. I would add now one more thing, 5, which is measuring and proportions, which is you need to be able to sort of measure things and be able to measure things appropriately. And how do you do that? Is through like a very simple point of reference. Okay, I don't want to get into details. Like, learn how to measure things. Basically, there are tons of ways to measure a drawing and be able to properly draw it on paper, right? That is foundation. Design. Now, what I do is whenever someone comes to me, right? Like whenever someone comes to me, like if I let me just put up a transformation on screen of Drawing Camp Studio. Like if you're watching this, you'll see. right? I'll put a couple actually. All of these folks, what we start out with is just the moment they come in, you don't design characters, you don't design environments, you don't try to draw from your imagination, you don't try to draw in your own style, you don't do any of that. That's the not to do list at the start. You don't do any of these things. What you do is simply look at photographs and real life and draw and see them and draw them. It's as simple as that, while learning these 4 fundamental skills. That's it. Actually, basically, you learn these 4 fundamental skills by looking and drawing things from real life or photographs. Once you're done with that, then and then only we focus on character design. And still, we're not going to touch upon imagination and style. In second, I see this as a 3-level thing. One is you need to learn basic character design principles. What does that mean? Basically, a character or a cartoon is an abstraction of real life. And the way it's been abstracted is through a lens. And that lens is the principle through which you see the thing. Wow, Kesh, you just confused the heck out of me, man. What the frick does that mean? Think of it like this in super simple terms. There are certain rules for creating certain style of characters. And there are basic fundamental principles. If you use those fundamental principles, you can draw the things that you see your favorite artist draw on paper or on iPad or whatever you draw on. It's very simple. You need to know what those rules are, those strategies are, and those strategies are called principles, and principles are a way of thinking, right? You need to know how to think in order to be able to draw characters, basically. You want to know why does anime look the way it looks like? Why do American cartoons look the way it looks like? You want to know why and the way in which it was created. If you know that, you can do whatever the heck you want. That's the basic idea right there. So character design principles is the first in the second level, the design level. The first thing in the second level. The second and the third mini skill that you want to learn in the design level is one. It's just basically just one thing, but you just divide it into 2 things. 1, head anatomy. 2, simple body anatomy. Stop trying to be a surgeon. You're not a doctor. You don't need to know complex muscles in order to make your first freaking comic, right? Learn basic and simple anatomy. Simple head anatomy, simple body anatomy. Basically, all the muscles are grouped into simple shapes and forms. Since you've already learned those things in the foundation level, all you need to do is apply them right now at this phase. And then be able to draw characters. You, at this point, by the end of design level, you would have actually learned how to draw people well. That is how it works. You've learned to draw everything at the first level. Now you've learned to draw people at the second level, and then how to also sort of draw your own characters and how it is abstracted, right? Through character design principle. That is in the second level. So 3 skills, right? Design principles, 1, head anatomy, simple body anatomy. Those are the 3 things that are there in level 2, which is design. You need to focus on these things. Now, if you're wondering, Kesh, buddy, yeah, I get all these things. Like, how do I put this practically? Oh, wait, I've got a solution for that. And oh, wait, it's also free. Oh, wait, it's the Artist Roadmap Workshop. I'll link it down below. Go look at it. I'll explain all these things in detail, and I'll give you a very specific exercise to follow along in order to apply these things practically, and a 100-day roadmap which you can apply. Of course, if you want me to hold your hand and do it, go check out Drawing Camp. That is the thing right there. And it's got more exercises. Like I give you 10 exercises in Artist Roadmap. Drawing Camp is 120 exercises. 120. Wow. So, right, we are in level 2. Once you're done with this, the next thing you want to do, or next thing I did was this, right? When I started out, I was like, okay, let me first learn to draw things by looking at them. Done. Then let me just focus on drawing characters. No environments, no stylization, just being able to draw characters. Done. Being able to draw heads, done. Being able to draw bodies and poses, done. Superb. What is the next step? Environments. You want to learn how to draw environments, and you don't need complex environment lessons. At this phase, as a beginner, what you need to do is this. If you learn how to draw a box in the foundations level, you can use that box to create any sort of environment that you want. And there are some basic environment design principles and prop design principles that if you just learn, you'll be able to put those props in your environments and your characters in environments, and then voila, you have got a complete illustration. That is the aim. The first aim is this. If you want to do comics, or if you want to do animation, whatever you want to do, it all starts with one image. If you're able to create one image, a moment in time, which has a story, you can tell a sequence of those images. You can use and create a sequence of those images for your comics. You can create a multiple sequence of those images, right? Multitude of images for a sequence in your animation, right? But it starts with one image. An image where you can tell one simple story, a moment in time. That's what a storytelling image is. And that's what we want to focus on in this particular level. But before we even get to that, in level 3, here's what you want to do. Environments and prop design, I put it in sort of in creation. It's better if it's in design as well, but I sort of put it in creation because, when I say design, it's more like character design. But in level 3, here's what you want to do. You focused on environment, you focused on prop design, same things. Prop design principles are same as the character design principles. Environment design principles are same as the character design principles. And if you've learned the foundations of art, you can just simply apply them. That's my fundamental philosophy. If you learn the core things, the 80-20, the 20% that gives you 80% of the results, everything is more and much more clearer. You can just apply the core principles to anything you want, and you can figure out how to draw anything that you want. You don't need to go ahead and learn every single thing step by step. You can learn one thing and draw many things. There was a comment in the previous podcast which said, Kesh, you follow trendy stuff like the 80-20 principle. 80-20 principle invented by, Wilfredo Pareto or Alfredo Pareto. I forgot his name. An Italian economist. It's not a trend, my friend. That sort of rhymed. It's not a trend, my friend. It's a thing that has been existing for like over 100 years. Large scheme of humanity, it could be a trend. But 80-20 is a great way of thinking about things. What are the core essentials in your art practice that will give you 80% of the results? That's how you approach this thing, right? And then, so in the last level, first you focus on imaginative drawing. Basically, how do you understand or how do you draw from your imagination? Now, I'll give you a very specific resource. I'll link below the videos that I've done on how to draw from your imagination below. Go check it out. It'll give you a good understanding on how to draw from your imagination. Then, once you figure out how to draw from your imagination, then you want to focus on building your style, right? And style can be only built on a solid foundation. You cannot sculpt a pebble. There is a famous saying, you cannot sculpt a pebble. You can only sculpt a rock, right? A style is not something that you sort of, form or find. Style is something you build. And the way you build it is by sculpting it. And the way you sculpt it is that if you have something as a foundation for you to carve away from, your artistic skills need to be built fully to their capacity, and after which you add things and remove things on top for it to become a beautiful style, like a sculpture. That's how a sculpture is made. It's like full stone, they sculpt all the useless things away, and then they have the thing, right? You cannot create a sculpture from a rice granule, can you? Right? You can't do that. So that is the thing. Imagination and then style. Why do we focus on style after imagination? Here's the thing. In the process of learning to draw from your imagination, you will use a lot of references and looking at things and seeing things from real life. And since you're doing that, at that point, you won't be able to sort of form things in your own style or put things in your own voice, basically. So we want to eliminate that variable and put it right after that so that you only focus on how to learn to draw from your imagination with the raw materials in front of you, which is the real life and things that is out there. It'll make a lot of sense what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about will make a lot of sense. I started talking like Yoda from Star Wars, right? If you just watch the videos on how to draw from your imagination. But once you're done with that, my friend, after that, you focus on style. And I'll also give you a resource, 2 resources. I'll give you a video called Don't Try to Find Your Style, which is an important video that I highly recommend you watch first, and then watch another video of mine made called 5 Ways to Find Your Style, right? And these 2 will give you a good idea on the concept of finding your style. And once you do all of that, finally do a creation. Create a project. That is how you do it. 3 levels: foundation, design, creation. Skills: foundation, lines and shapes; gesture, forms and perspective; light and shadow, measuring an angle. Design, level 2, you have character design principles, simple head anatomy, basic body anatomy. And then you can put environment prop design here, or you can put it in creation. It doesn't matter. And then creation, imaginative drawing, stylization, or finding your style. And lastly, last but not least, the project. How do you make a project? Learning to start and finish a project in and of itself is a skill. It's not that easy, right? It's not that easy. You might want to do a short mini project that lasts 2 weeks or less. And the way I did this was I would go through like a 100-day cycle, right? 100 days, I would start with the foundation, go with design, end up with creation, do a project. I don't do it exactly in that sense, but it is always formed in that. Like whenever I start doing something, I start with like, what are the fundamental and foundational principles? I do that, and then I sort of get good at that, and then I create something, right? Learn the design aspects of it second, create on the third. So this is how I've approached, and I do this multiple cycles. And again, I'm not trying to sell you Drawing Camp. You can do this on your own, right? Here's how you can do this on your own. Like, let's say you don't want to buy anything online, right? Let's save money for you, right? If you want to save money, here's what I would do. Of course, you're not going to save time. So disclaimer right there. What you want to do is take all these skills and Google them. Find YouTube tutorials, find resources online, and also follow my main YouTube channel where I'll be actually putting out detailed workshops and lessons on all these individual mini skills in the coming year, right? I've got like 16 videos planned, and a lot of these videos is going to be based on these things. So I would highly recommend you watch that, right? Watch my channel, but also go and check out other people. There are plenty of good artists, and they try to break down and describe their own things. Go find those things. You have the roadmap, you have the structure. Go and check out the Artist Roadmap workshop. Look at the 10 exercises that I've given you. Those 10 exercises are the 80-20 as well. They are the essential that will give you 80% of the results. Go do that, right? These are all ways which you can sort of learn for free without paying anyone or anything, right? So that is a thing, my friend. That is how you do it. This is the thing that I did, which helped me learn drawing and make comics and make animation. And when I say make animation, I've made one animated short film and another one, a small one. There's another one in the process. Apparently, animation takes a lot of time and money and people, and it's very hard to make. So that's why we're not able to do it as frequently as we possibly can. But this is how you do it. And I would focus on this first. And that's my goal is this. I want to make an animated feature film in the future. And for me to do that, I want to be first able to, I want to first master drawing. Not master drawing, at least be good at it. Like be able to draw well. And then my next journey is animation, my friend. And that's my next thing right there. I want to focus on animation. But before that, I would say like Drawing Camp is like the first level of my, like Drawing Camp, not the program. Drawing Camp is my internal thing, my mind. I have a Drawing Camp in my head, and this is how I practice art. And when I practice art, I'm in Drawing Camp, right? So, and that's why the program is also named Drawing Camp appropriately, because you're in camp, right? And you need a program. And that is the thing, that is the approach. Once we do that, so the way I see my roadmap towards my feature film is get good at drawing, step one. Really get good at drawing, step two. That is what I'm going to do in the coming year, right? Coming year is going to be like the year of really getting good at drawing, step two. Step three, learn animation, right? 2D animation very well. Like, I know how to do it. I know how to direct people. I know how to sort of, like spot movements and do those things. And I've done theater as a kid. I can really act. Done a lot of stage dramas when I was a kid in schools. You have no idea, all kinds of things. And I'm really good at movement. I've got that dance gene in me. My mom's a dancer. So, the artist thing, blood flows in the family to some extent. So, that's why I'm able to sort of, and I've got the filmmaking skills as well. Been practicing filmmaking for like 10 years, of course, no kidding. But I've learned that it's not only important for me to sort of be able to direct and sort of just know the basics of animation. I want to know animation really well, 2D animation really well. And with technology is getting better, it's going to be even better. So I want to learn animation and then make the film. Not by myself, of course. I'll make it with a team. For that, you need money. And for that, I'm trying to make money. That's my life. Welcome to my life. So this is how I'm doing. So if you want to give me money, go check out my Black Friday sale for Drawing Camp. Honestly, for a second, like, I hate to say it. I don't want to sell stuff. But if you really want to save time, man, and I'm not even kidding, go read the hundreds of testimonials that are there. Hundreds and countless amounts of transformations. Most people talk crap online, right? They say, oh, it works for me, but they can't do it for someone else. We have done it for someone else, for many people, not just once, multiple times. So if you want to save your time and your money in a couple of years, I would take the Drawing Camp and I would do Drawing Camp for 1 year, where I just spend 1 hour a week, 2 lessons per week, and constantly practice that. My friend, that's where the game is, right? I like that word these days, my friend. I just call everyone my friend. Hey, my friend, what's up, my friend? And it's like, it's nice. But anyways, go check it out. So it's on a record freaking 45% off deal. So go check it out. But other than that, if you want to do things for free, this is the roadmap that I told you. Follow those things. All the resources that I've mentioned is down below in the description. All right? So I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.